Hello. Today we're operating the Black Series, AMG GT Black Series, and oh boy, is this thing a beast. Yes, we're doing a daily race in Gran Turismo 7, obviously, and it's just like the previous video, 1,300 kilograms and 443 brake horsepower. So I had to detune and at least try get the weight to exactly that number for the specific vehicle, and literally it is one of the best. That was one of the most annoying starts I had with this car, and guess what, it was a freaking Corvette, at least two of them. These guys are freaking annoying. Every single race it's the Corvettes. In this daily race it was at least the Corvettes that would either be menaces to everyone else, right? And I'm not saying it's always them, just to be clear, there are other cars as well, or at least other players, but the Corvettes, I saw that guy coming, so I kind of braked, or at least held my brakes a lot more than I would usually, just to let him fly by, and it paid off. And now obviously I just wanted to, obviously the objective in the previous video was that I start from behind and gain positions. So in this case, I didn't really gain that much from the start, but the AMG is such a beast that I was able to do so, right, with consistency. And obviously with this car I had so much more confidence than the other cars, but I did pretty well. But yeah, the Corvettes in this race, man. But this car actually does a lot. I think it's more competitive. This was a dive bomb that I did not intentionally make, or it was a terribly mistimed break point, for a lack of better words. So I'm not happy with my actions there. I'm not proud at all. But the AMG keeps up fairly well with the other cars, like the A12 Superfast, and I don't understand why it didn't throw him into the shadow realm, given the way I supposed to slow down for him, but it cost me a position. At least it didn't mess up my entire race. But yeah, I get my penalty, right? So the AMG GT Black Series really does well in terms of keeping up with the Corvettes, because they have a lot of straight line speed. I don't know what it is with the Corvettes, but they really do have incredible straight line speed. So they tend to really overpower all the other cars in this daily race. So the AMG really manages to hold up its own, depending on who is obviously wielding the king of the Nürburgring. But yeah, I served my penalty, rightfully so. I wasn't really upset. What I ultimately just told myself was that I need to fight to get back to third or second, which we skip ahead. I eventually actually do catch up to this guy who obviously passed me when I had to serve my penalty, and this is towards the last lap. So I just wanted to include this part, because I don't want anyone saying that I took him out again, or I did something silly, sinister, or anything like that. I passed him fair, clean, because my intention is always to be a clean racer. I don't want to be a nuisance like every other player. they will frustrate you and have you punching air. I kid you not, but I did pretty good in terms of how I got ahead. He's for some reason got a penalty. I think it's for exceeding track limits behind me in the Supra. So this time I decided to go with the Benz, and this is because I've used the car on the Nürburgring and without it actually doing anything, because in the previous video with the F8 Tributo I had the assumption that, you know, certain cars, should you just upgrade brakes and tires, they would actually perform a lot better in the game, which I believed would be the case for this car. So I did so, and in this race I did not do anything besides change brakes and tires. Even then, I'm not sure I did anything with the brakes, but I know I definitely changed the tires, and obviously I just had to change the power and the weight so that it falls within the what is required. So in this race, finished third from obviously last, so that's obviously a lot of positions that I gained, and I was beyond happy. It did better than the M4 and the M3 combined, right? I mean, the M3 was good on its own, so I gained 9 positions and finished in third. Why on earth would I be upset or mad about that? Even with the penalty, I still managed to come back from 5th and get up to 3rd. So in this race, the guy in 2nd said to the guy in 1st that you're fast in the chat. So I was just like, that's interesting, and it really became interesting. So this was one of the better races. There's this guy flapping in a Ferrari 812. I believe it's an 812 super fast. He is the definition of a nuisance in this race, right? He will not let anyone pass him, at least not fairly, right? And I noticed this in other races. I just didn't give him much attention to and this was only after this race that I noticed that, wow, this guy he is determined. He is determined to be dirty. He is determined to go down and get in the mud with any player who tries to pass him at any point. So number 1 and number 2 decided to, I don't know what happened. He was, the fastest guy was using a Corvette Stromberg or something like that. That was his name, and now I'm behind Flappig. But John and number 1 and the guy who said number 1 was fast was taken out by number 1. I don't understand why players have to be this dirty, and you see this here at this section of corners that we literally got gifted 1st and 2nd place. We didn't have to fight for it or anything like that, and I was just like, okay bro, by all means I will take it. If you're gonna just graciously give it to me, I will. So basically this is what happened to the fastest guy, the guy who said the fastest time and started in 1st position for this race. So leading up to basically the first chicane, he literally yeets the guy who told him he was fast, and to be honest, he got sandwiched. So someone had to suffer, and I mean, that guy did. But this guy's intentions seem to be of someone who has obviously the intention to be dirty. Notice that it's a Corvette that's in the sand, and we're judging another person who's also driving a Corvette. He is chasing down number 1 and he ends up in the sand. Why is that? John, who was probably somewhere in 5th when we started the race, managed to gain some positions, and watch what number 1 does to him. This is just a replay. He is behind number 1, the fastest guy, and he takes out number one. He takes out John. Why? You know you have the fastest car for this race. Literally, top end power. Nothing touches the Corvettes. That's why people are setting fastest laps with the car. He had no reason to do so. And after freaking beating the guy into the sand, he decides to leave the race. He took out not one but two players and had a 5-second penalty. Was it really necessary to do that? Well, I believe it wasn't. This is literally why I say that maybe sportsmanship rating being enabled would eliminate such things. But I mean, he was in first. He could have easily won the race with the Corvette, given that he was able to set such a fast time, obviously. But now I'm stuck with Flabrig, whatever his name is. This guy is a nuisance. He's a pig. He's a pig. He's ready to get down and dirty. He's ready to tussle in the mud just to keep first place. I'm telling you. I obviously spend most of the race just trying to keep up with the car. The A12 has, for some reason, a bit more straight line speed than the AMG GT, but in the corners I would make up my time, you know. So he pulls away in straights like these, and then in the bends, that's where I make up the time. And bear in mind, excuse me, I haven't really modified the AMG GT, excuse me, the AMG GT in terms of, you know, camber or dampening, anything for that matter. I kept it stock. I didn't do anything to aerodynamics, nothing. So it is incredibly good, given that you don't have to do anything to it for that matter, right? Maybe I'm crazy, but I'd like to think it is. So kind of messed up there. Kind of went into the bend way too early with that kind of speed and kind of messed me up a bit, but notice how through the bends I really get behind the Ferrari, but through the straights, through the straights, he has that power to pull. And the funny thing is, some of these cars are obviously using, all of the cars are set to have the same kind of power. So obviously then I think it's about gearing and how the car is set to, obviously some cars will be able to have some top speed setting that obviously some cars won't have. I can't explain it well per se, but basically some cars have a greater advantage at the top end, whereas some cars have a greater advantage. So here I went defensive because I noticed that the guy in the Corvette was starting to catch up, and like I said, the Corvettes are crazy fast through the straights. So even though I went defensive through that bend and I really defended it well, it was kind of pointless because he was just gonna get behind me, slipstream, and then dust me, literally. And I just decided, look, I'm not going to defend this straight because it's absolutely pointless. I'm just going to let him pass, and I'm not about to get dirty. So this is where things really get interesting. Really get interesting. So my intentions are to not let them pull away. This guy in front of me is clean, so let me try keep up. So I technically do so, right? I do keep up. I stay behind him. He serves a penalty, and funny enough, Flatbig also gets a penalty. I believe that's for exceeding track limits. I don't, which obviously I'm just like, this is my opportunity, so I stick very close. I stick behind the Corvette, and I my intentions is to ultimately capitalize on both of them serving a penalty. But notice, even though I'm behind the Corvette trying to slipstream or feed off his slipstream, he is still, I kind of gave him a love tap there, he is still pulling away. And I was just like, bro, come on, seriously, what is up with this car? My car can't be that. But notice how Flappy, even though they both about to serve a penalty, he still wants to freaking play dirty. And now I get to suffer the consequences, honestly, because they were tussling, in between the road. I didn't know where to go. And John was slowly lurking behind us, right? Waiting, or at least catching up until he got the perfect opportunity to pass, which was that point where this guy in front of me literally messed up the race for all three of us, including himself. He could have kept first or at least second, since the Corvette was just going to pass him and he wasn't going to be able to catch up. And the Corvette, just to show how fast it is, it's still trying to pass him. And obviously, I think he didn't care that the Corvette was next to him, didn't check his radar. Flatbig decided to continue fighting for the position. Notice what happens here. He yeets him straight into the chicane that he doesn't even get an opportunity to really hit the breaking point, right? I can bet you that was intentional, and he gets sent into the shadow realm. Otherwise he would have gotten a penalty for it anyway. And funny enough, the stewards can't be bothered to do their job in this game, regardless of the fact that, given the fact that the guy in front in second place just took out a player. And funny enough, in the chat there after the race, we basically had a conversation about number 2's behavior. This guy is a pig, yo. He's an animal who is willing to get down and dirty. It was unbelievable. He even went there and said, the guy behind me literally tagged Flabbig and said, thank you for sending me into the shadow realm. He defeats the point of, I was laughing, but until it affected me, because I was passing the two of them and they dragged me into their mess. At least Flabbig did. But regardless of that, I started in last and finished in third once again. In another race I finished in first, but I kind of recording that would have been long. But Flabbig is one of the players who should get those 10-day bans, and he should just not play Gran Turismo. What he did was he's the player who got me to the point where I'm like, bro, seriously, what is your problem? Like, the guy is going to pass you, you're slow, I'm slow, we're gonna let him pass, I let him pass, right? I don't have a problem. Why are you trying to be a menace about it? Just let the guy pass. It's not that deep. It's not affecting your driver rating. It should affect your sportsmanship rating given the way you're driving, but who am I? Guys like Cliff and didn't bother thinking about that anyway. But thank you guys for watching. I really enjoyed making this video. So I'm out. Stay tuned for more videos though. They are definitely coming. ESCOM is messing with my schedule though.
Giving me stress, but I know you're a snake, and you never confess. Oh Lord, break it down now. This shit's getting wild now. Nigga, look at the shit that made me. My baby driving me crazy. Give it to me. Kidding me? Wrists on froze, man, he tryna stop beef with me, nigga, I don't like it. She gave me head for the first time, bitch, don't bite it. My girl, oh, go, I whip it till I have a stroke. They're tryna kill me, but I'm never gon' go. They're tryna hit me. me up, I don't stay cold. They're trying to keep me down, but I'm never gon' low. Baby, gon' wait. Sweat dripping off of your face. Calm down. Hey, you know I got no shit, nigga. Maybe you's a bitch, nigga. Giving me stress. These niggas playing games like it's recess. I be killing shit and now I'm deep ass. Bitch, don't kill my vibe, I know you depressed. Nobody hit it like I do, call me Keith Sweat. This is heat, yes. Take a seat, yes. Shout out to Dotto, know I like the beat stretch. Give